Morning to a glorious day 364/5. Yesterday was 364. Today is going to be 365. Before I start, obviously, please help me with a support on the like and subscribing down below. Be much appreciated. Yesterday, as you may all know, we lost the Queen. Real shame. Mixed opinions about the monarchy, obviously, in the England, especially over the last sort of 10 years of their ups and downs. But at the same time, 7 years in one job, passionate about one thing, you can only take your hat off for that. So I think everybody, certainly expats that run the island, obviously are feeling it a little bit. And I know the UK is going to be mourning for 10 to 12 days. 2 minutes ago there was cannons and guns being fired off all around the UK in celebration stroke mourning of her reign stroke passing. Anyway, just goes to show you're on the planet once, make the most of it. What an amazing journey she would have had. Okay, so here, what are we going to be doing today? Today, Sherwin's going to be coming any minute. We've got a crack up on the roof that we're just in the midst of doing. We've had a leak coming through one of the main drains up on the roof. We're not too sure if it's coming from the drain itself, as in the gutter that comes down. You have a female and a male, whether it's coming around one of those or whether it's coming from the roof itself. Now, the plumber's been out and put a hose down the actual gutter itself, and there's no leaking coming through at all on the outside wall or on the inside room, which is good news because that means hopefully it's not coming from the actual gutter itself. And he says that when he puts water onto the roof, that's when it leaks. So it looks like we have a weakness in and around the bonding between the actual gutter itself and the concrete roof or the parapet. Now, if you remember rightly, just here we had the same issue. We had water coming through the actual overhang here, and we sealed the floor, we did all sorts, and it landed up being the parapet. So you've got the piece that does that. So you've got about a 5 to 6 inch parapet on the front of the building all the way around to stop the water coming off. That comes down and slopes onto the roof. It was actually coming through the crack on the parapet. Now we have one over dead in line with the gutter up there. So yesterday we got up there with a grinder and a metal wheel and a drill, and we literally cleaned that all off, wetted it and sponged it and brushed it as best we could. Last night, as it was going off, I put some treatment on it called SL, which is a roof silicone from Sherwin-Williams. They do one called SL1, which is the best one, but they seem to be out of stock, and they do another one called SL. So it's a white roof crack sealant silicone. You can use it for all sorts, but it's mainly a roof silicone. So I literally just siliconed up the actual main cracks last night. And then we've got another product called Freedom Flash. Again, you can get it from Sherwin-Williams. It's bloody expensive. We've got half a bucket left and it's gone off. So we've put a Stanley right through it, and it seems to be underneath. It seems to be okay. So we might have to cut the bottom of the bucket out today and just try and use, obviously, the product from underneath if we can. We do have another huge bucket, but trouble, as soon as you open it, it seems to go off quite quickly. So I don't really want to be spending wasting a $300 to $400 bucket over what in effect is a very small crack if I can help it. So today, that's one thing we want to do. We want to get out there first and get some Freedom Flash all over the actual the cracks and the smoothness that we've sanded out, and I'll show you that in a minute on the video. And we also want to now sort of build the 24-inch framework above the garage now. So the inner walls have now been done. We've got to measure to make sure they're on the money, and then we've got to build out a 2x4 and some concrete ball. We've got to build a framework that goes in there now. So we're going to have to build a sort of a U-shaped framework, fix that up first. Then we're going to have to do the downrights, 24-inch downrights, probably about sort of 6 or 7 of those, and fix those in as well. Obviously fix those in first before it goes up, because they'll be fixed from above. So we'll do a ladder system, but we'll have the southern part of that ladder system removed. We'll put that up, fix that in place, fix it sideways as well, and then put the base units in and fix them from underneath, and then box that up. Obviously we have to leave enough room around the front of that edge to make sure that we can actually plaster that, so that it can be plastered and painted in line with the garage. You should be able to see anything. So that's going to be our aim today, and then maybe today, depending on how we get on, start maybe putting the garage enclosure together and getting that up into place. Obviously we've got to try and rectify the damage that's been caused in transit. I've not heard from the company that we use to ship the product. They did say about making a claim, so I said I think we have to, but I've not heard anything from them. So let's start by trying to get it up there and make sure that, you know, see if it works. I mean, each one of the garage slats, it's a roller door, which means it rolls into itself. They're only around about, I'd say, 3.5 inches wide. So worst case scenario, once the door's in, there will be a bow in the door. If you're looking at it sideways, it's going to be like that, because they put it down and they've weighted it on something and it's bent the door. So worst case scenario, we could slide each track out and try and manually straighten each one. And we're probably better off doing that before we put the garage door in place and roll it in. So yeah, that's going to be the aim today. It's going to be obviously gutter first, 24-inch framework above the garage door, and getting that boxed in, and then probably the garage door, I would say Saturday stroke Monday. I'm going to try and have Saturday and Sundays off if I can, so it'll probably be a Monday thing. But if we manage to get obviously a great deal done today, then we'll have a go getting the framework up and getting it in. But I think it'll be a Monday thing. So anyway, I'm going to get up there in a minute and show you the roof and show you what we've done so far. And then also later on, when we start cutting the wood and putting the framework in place, then I'll also film some of that as well. But in the meantime, I say if you can just give me a bit of support with any comments downstairs. There's Sherwin, he's here. That would be greatly appreciated. And I'll update you throughout the day. Hope you're well. Okay, welcome to Up on the Roof. Great view. Before I start and show you what we're doing, look at the view from up here. And the beautiful sea in the background. Anyway, so in the roof we had a number of different issues here. Obviously we painted that one white with a white rubber to reflect the heat. And we've obviously scored into the roof here to try and tap into what in effect is a pool of water here. We get one here, we get ones just behind those water containers, and one over the other side. So what's happened at the moment, they tapped into this. They didn't do a very good job here in trying to fill this piece, so really we should take that out, but I'm probably going to file that back in a minute. And then this groove goes in, and what we've been getting is a leak coming through here. So they've taken this level down and drilled into this pipe to try and get the water hitting the wall and coming around on itself. And I think what's happened is they've created a weakness here, as you can see. And then there was a hairline crack going all the way up here, straight over the top. And from downstairs, as I could see, it's actually now going straight down the wall here as well. So, a bit of a pain in the arse, but what we need to do is to make sure, like I've done yesterday, I've put some SL, which is this from Sherwin-Williams. So, Loxon S1, sorry, they do an SL1, which is better. But I want to say better, it's grey, but I think it's the same thing, it's just in a different, you know, the bigger tube and the bigger pump. So what we've done in the meantime is I've just literally filled some of the actual differences here. I've filled some of the weaknesses around here. I've obviously, there was a weakness here, there was a crack along here. I've also filled around here as well. And I've done the crack up, and the crack, there was a hairline crack going across here all the way along. So I've filled those for now. What we're going to do now is we're going to find any other hairline cracks. There's one here going all the way along here, which then I tapped into this one yesterday. This one also comes around here, and as you can see, it's reasonably hairline, but again needs to be filled. And then for some reason we have a weakness along here as well. So between these two surfaces there seems to be a weakness. So again, we've ground that out this morning, and now what we're going to do is get some S1 in there first. So we're going to get S1 all over the actual cracks themselves, let that go off all the way along here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use this stuff. So as I said, it's gone off. So now what we're looking to do is cut the top of the bucket open and tap into the last little part that's here. We're going to need the other bucket, I think, anyway. So this is Freedom Flash, and this is cloth. So what we need to do is cut that. We need to Freedom Flash the whole floor with this, then put the cloth over the top of it, and then paint over the cloth to ensure that we create a nice run into the actual drain itself. And like a roof, we need to do the base one first, we need the other one lapping over that one, and that one lapping over that one, and this one lapping over this one, and so on and so forth. So we start with the lowest point first and work off of that and work up of that. And we'll also do the same on here as well. So we'll probably trim it down, but we'll also put the Freedom Flash all along these cracks as well. And then after it's all done and dusted and it's cured, we'll probably just put some of the Henry white rubber over the top. Not because it's great, it's a a standard, residential B&Q Koymans equivalent. But what it does do is it's white. So as you can see, it reflects the heat quite nicely. So once we've actually got the real industrial stuff down, we'll probably give it a coat over the top of it once it's completely cured of white, just to try and protect it from the sun. So just to recap, it's going to be a cloth in here all the way along into this drain pipe to cover this weakness that's in here after we put SL on there. Once we've done that and that's gone off, then there'll be another one put across here, another one up here, another one along there, and another one along here. We need to physically seal this whole top parapet because we think the water is actually going through the parapet, hitting a weakness and coming through all the way through and coming out this side and leaking. There's also a damp patch on the front of the house that we do actually get as well. So it's obviously seeping down the front of the house and coming out and hitting the beam. So we got like a T-junction damp patch where it comes down the crack and then hits the beam and obviously spreads out a little bit. So we need to make sure it stops coming through here. So that's the plan. Very, very similar to what we did over on the front, if you remember rightly. I'll show you very quickly. It doesn't look pleasant, obviously, but at the same time, the same thing was happening here. We got hairline crack here, which we've covered. And then obviously this is about stopping the water hitting here and going through this is where the weakness was coming through, straight here. So we're stopping the water hitting the top, stopping it going through the side, and stopping it going through here, as we've done there as well. So it'll be done on exactly the same side as well. So I'll update you as and when we start doing each course so you can see what we're talking about. But let's say if you have any roofing issues, Freedom Flash is definitely the stuff you need to go for as the main bulk sealant. And second of all, the S1 or SL1 silicone, bloody great stuff. Use that first. It's a self-leveler, so it literally finds a crack and goes in. You obviously got to get the crack out, make sure it's completely decontaminated from a dust point of view and a grease and an oil and whatever point of view. And then that settles itself. Let that go off, and then you go over the top of the Freedom Flash and the fabric. So anyway, I'll update you as I go. 1 minute on the roof. With the weather forecast that says sunny all day, and then you've got this. So we managed to get some on before the actual rains came down. It is what it is. Give me a thumbs up in the meantime. Sure, I deserve one. Getting so good. So yeah, literally last night I finished off grinding out the actual grooves, and then I sponged off and wiped off the excess dust, etc. And because I started doing it around about 4:30, 5 o'clock, the sun wasn't so intense, so I thought I'd leave it until today because the weather forecast said it was going to be bright sunshine all day. Obviously, if I knew what I knew now, I'd have finished off last night and let it cure, because the slab would have been hot from yesterday's sun, so it would have continued curing even into sort of 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night last night. Anyway, it is what it is. Now, one thing I have done, which I was going to show you guys, and I'm after a bit of advice as well. So in here we've obviously got our little electric room. Now we've got a concrete roof which absorbs sun all day and obviously gets pretty hot. So our little comms room has no breathing. Now you can put comms unit fans into the units themselves to try and keep the air flowing. In England we do these little tiny rack mounted ones. There's 4 fans in them. You slide them in, you fix 4 bolts, you connect them up, and there's 4 fans pulling and pushing air through. But they don't do them here, and in England they don't do them as 110s, which is just my bloody luck. So I have no way at the moment of cooling this down. So this is a comms unit, didn't come with any ceiling fans, and you're going to have to get ceiling fans again. They'll be 240 and they're not here, so I can get American ones. I'm sure there's some form of little ceiling fans they can do, but I want something a bit more industrial. So in the meantime, what I've decided to do, certainly whilst we haven't got the ceiling finished, is to just mount a fan up there which is blowing down. Now the ceiling gets hot and there's a 4-inch void throughout the whole house. So what's happening now, this is pulling air through the void and out this way, which is cooling this room down. The downside to that is if we have intense heat, then it's going to pull the actual heat from the ceiling, the roof slab, into this room, which I don't want to do. So what do? Do I mount the fan differently? In the meantime, do I turn it around the other way and blow it up so it's actually sucking cooler air from here up into the ceiling void? And would it do that? Bear in mind this void's quite thin. Or do I mount it in here, maybe on the wall there, and blow it out this way? Or Let me know your thoughts, because I just want to try and keep it cooler than it actually is. It's operating okay, but you know, when we have a hot day and that slab is hot, bear in mind, if I show you, comms unit is here, and we're not far off. There's the concrete ceiling there, look. So the concrete ceiling is not far off the actual unit, which makes this room in here up above, obviously heat rises, it makes it very warm. So I need to find a way of actually having this room ventilated. So when I physically put the ceiling void back, do I put a ceiling fan in here and do I blow up, or do I pull down? That's what I'm trying to ask you guys. I don't want to be putting ceiling slab heat down. So let me know your thoughts. Bear in mind, it's also got to go for that little ravine over there. It's got to go through what in effect is a 3.5 inch gap all the way through the roof. Obviously the common sense one would be to try and find a rack or comms unit fan system that does what it needs to do. So, but I'll be interested to find out if anybody in here and knows somewhere on the island that will have a solution for me. That's how I can get it from England, but it'll be 240, not 110, which means it won't work. I'm sure they do them in the US as well, so surely I can buy one in the US and get it shipped. But anyway, anyone got any ideas, let me know. In the meantime, don't forget, if you find any of the comment good, give me some comments. Let me know good and bad, what you think I should and shouldn't be doing. We had a pool guy tying up here yesterday, by the way, so fingers crossed. He's known to me through a friend of a friend, so fingers crossed he's going to give me some information about what he thinks we should do with the pool. And I also talked to him about the cracks on the concrete here. I'm very mindful, they've been here for a while now. We need to start making sure we get getting some form of solution and making sure we seal them up, because at the moment water's seeping through, it's hitting the steel and eventually it's going to blow. I think what we need to do at some stage quite quickly is to start just scraping them out, putting some Osfo inside to make sure any steel that has been touched has actually got a sealant over the top of it. God bloody look at the rain now. And then try and get like the SL that we'll put on the roof into them to make sure they're sealed. Today I do want to try and get the AstroTurf up here and cut it into 27-foot lengths, 3 of them, get them on the floor, see what it looks like, and also make sure that the behaviour of the rain is still finding its way to the drains that we cut in to ensure that it drains properly. Will that water still find its way to those drains if we put an AstroTurf on the floor? The reason why I want to put the AstroTurf on, if you haven't caught the previous videos, is we want to put a Begolia over the top here somehow. I've ordered a large net that we can put above initially, so we can fix it probably at 3 points. One here, and one here. Same on this side. So it'll be a net going across, and then potentially we'll put in some fake, you know, the fake flowers, vines, etc., to create a shading for the area, and then we can have some form of you know, chairs and tables out there and use the patio, and at the same time it'll also shade the patio floor, which will also reduce the heat downstairs as well. So a number of reasons why we're looking to do it. We want to use the space, and also we want to protect the heat on the slab from its contracting and expanding, and also just try and make a space that we can continue to use. Whether we do a fixed Begolia after that works, if we do it and it works, then do we do some form of block columned Begolia? Do we do a wooden Begolia? Do we know no Begolia at all? It will certainly give us an understanding whether it's worth doing or not once we actually get the net across and see how it affects. Also here they do, I think they call it boxwood vines, which are like sheets. I'll post a picture in here and when I do the video later. They're sheets of, again, fake rubber looking wall plants, and they come in sheets of sort of 12 inch by 12 inch, 24 inch by 12 inch, and again we could potentially put some of those across as well, just to give it the shading that it needs. So any pictures you guys see online of shades, begolias, then you think that would suit this sort of environment, stick them in the comments below, or send me some links so I can have a good look. It looks like the rain's going to be on and off this morning, so the roof is definitely going to stop. So I think the next thing is for us to go back into the garage and start cutting down the wood to make the actual the 24-inch overhang above the garage. So that's going to be our task soon. So I'll check in with you a bit later on. Okay, so we're at 11:45, and what we've been doing is just quickly building the framework for upstairs whilst we've been a little bit quieter. Let me just get that rubbish off the camera. Doesn't look any better, but anyway. So what we've been doing is just building the upper racks. Let me show you. So we're roughly, well, it's 182 inches, roughly 16 feet. And then we've obviously got the 24-inch drops. So what we've done is done these 21 and a half. We've obviously got the 1.5 top, 1.5 bottom. We want at least an inch, half inch extra underneath as well. We might have to trim those a little bit more just purely because of the actual boxing underneath. Other than that, that's pretty much where we are. I mean, the deeper we can go with it, the better, because basically we want to make sure that the garage door lands up being above the inside gap. So we've actually got a slight recess. So from the outside, when the doors are open, you can't see the boxing at all. So we've gone for a half inch, but obviously we've then got to put on the actual, the board itself. So that's where we are with this so far. Let me get up on the roof and show you where we are with that. Tyson's in the front actually doing the actual de-weeding, look. So quite a lot of de-weeding to be done, but also we're pulling out the grass. And then whilst the sun is out beaming, showing us up on the roof, doing what he's got to do. Obviously this is all done, I told you about that earlier. We just need to obviously get some rakes on there or a bobcat in. Now I do have a guy that might be bringing out the bobcat next week, so we'll have a look at how that is. So let me get up on the roof and show what's going on. Okay, so we've got the S1 over the actual gap in so far. We're still going to do these bits here as well all the way over. But there's been quite a big crack in the background over there, and it sort of joins here and carries on over as well. And then sort of disappears and then reappears around about here. So hopefully this actually took, yeah, it looks like it did. So we got that on just before the rain came. So that's all in and doing okay, so that looks all right. So this is just an undercoat really. I mean, you could get away with just using this, but this is just an undercoat for us. We're actually now going to be putting around here the mesh. So the thunder flash here, mesh on top. Same thing all the way through here, all the way up there, and then another layer on top here, and another one coming down the sides. This is obviously, I think, where it was coming from. I think it was coming through here, through this leak, down to the top. I think this crack goes all the way up, through underneath, across the top, underneath this plaster, and carries on down the side as well. So that's essential to make sure we get more on there, that's for sure. And as you can see from the rain earlier, we've got a puddle here which sort of comes down and does tap into here. Once this dries, we're going to get that off here and redo this whole thing all the way through with the Freedom Flash and the cloth. This is a bit of a build up here, but I think it's mainly because of the pipe. And obviously this is our biggest problem. This one here, believe it or not, comes around, look, and actually lands up joining here and going through the middle gutter rather than the gutter right over the other side. Crazy. And the only thing we can do, obviously, is what we've done with this one here, is to create a chase from here over to about here, so that this water will land up coming into here and following this way rather than going over to this one. So as you can see by the floor, the water finds itself over here and then does tap into here when it's at a surplus, and it finds its way through. So this one doesn't have any leaking at the moment coming through, but that's mainly because they didn't actually go through anything. They literally just stopped it here, look, but the other one they've gone right down to there. And I think that's where it's created the problem. So anyway, that's pretty much where we are on here. I mean, we need to make sure the roof is bone dry to do it, but I think we'll do the prep work first. There's not a great deal we can do about this puddle until this dries up, but what we do want to do is just literally take this bit back. Here and really level it off a little bit more, make it nice and sloped, joined into here, and then we'll take the Freedom Flash literally right all the way through here and then around, and then obviously up the sides. So we'll give you a bit of an update when we finish it. But at the moment, as you can see, this is all nice and dried as well, so it's just waiting for that bit and then we can crack on. Okay, so 1 o'clock, first part done. Let me spin that around and give you a show. But we did run out the Freedom Flash, and rather than open another one, we just used some of the Henry over the top, which is still a good elastometric, they call it, rubber. So let me have a show you what we've done here quickly. So obviously all of these bits here have obviously been SL'd, so they're all good. This one's had a brief bit of Henry over the top. This is now full on. This is full on mesh and the main rubber. So that's again a base piece in, a side piece in, a top piece in, a side piece here in, and then one strip to here. But then we ran out of it, so We've just painted this piece here in white Henry, and the top of this piece in white Henry as well, and then obviously just finished off the top piece here and the top piece here. So I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure there's a crack going pretty much from there all the way up through the top piece here. So this is a little triangular lip we put on the top. So straight across is a concrete lip. I think the crack goes all the way through the concrete lip and all the way through the other side. So the water going through is just going straight through the blocks and is actually finding its way into the wall cavity of the block, and obviously is running down beside the pipe. So now obviously we've actually SL'd the actual crack all the way up and all the way across, and now we put rubberization right over the top. Now we can't do the front without ruining the front look. So fingers crossed it might even stop that as well, because at the moment obviously most of the water will go in and through. So now that will go on and run off because it's at an angle. You'll be able to see it from here. It's at a little triangular angle to run backwards. So any water hopefully landing on here, most of it will come off and go straight onto the roof. That's the aim anyway, so fingers crossed that will work. These are old ones, we did these a while ago, and it's held up really well, this stuff. So Freedom Flash, again, Sherwin-Williams. If you guys need it, let me know. I can connect you with the guys. They do like a cloth sheet, which I'd say is probably around about 6 inches wide. That's what we've used on here. So again, like a roof, base one in first, side one overlap, top one overlap that. Same here, and we would have had another piece from here all the way through. I would have just had one piece here, but I knew I was going to run out. So, but again, we'll do this bit another time. I could do it taking this piece out, grinding this back, really sealing all of this in one piece all the way down. So we'll probably get that done at another stage. But at the moment, I'm happy that it's doing what it needs to do. Fingers crossed. Getting a couple of little bits lifting here, look. But again, once that's actually gone off, I can actually feel that anyway. So it's not going to get behind it, put it that way. So fingers crossed that will stop the water leaking through, but only time will tell. So I'm going to give it another couple of hours, let that go off, and then get some water on the roof and see whether I have a shower in my daughter's bedroom or not. Don't, then the plumber was right, and I'll take my hat off to him, fair play. I thought it was coming through the actual drain itself because the guys have sealed that with rubber before. But again, they didn't do a great job. Say didn't do a great job, I didn't mean that in that way. They just basically put rubber all over it, and that's okay. But these hairline cracks really do, they're not really hairline. They go right through the slabs themselves and right through the concrete, so you have to make sure you seal it properly. And where there's a weakness, water will find a way. So the only way to stop it here, they pasted all the floor and around the drain. They didn't go up the wall and on top, and that's probably where it was coming from. So fingers crossed that will stop that one. And then probably in the next couple of weeks, I will probably redo the one I showed you over here. So obviously it stops here and the water lands up coming this way and find its way into this drain. I will probably regrind that one out a little bit further out. Again, get the Freedom Flash on it and get that drain working, because there's 3 drains on the roof, but only 2 really are operational. That one does take water when there's big rain, but it should be taking rain regardless of how heavy things are, and it's not, because it just doesn't, it obviously runs towards these 2. So I'll get that one redone at some stage. In the meantime, that's it. We're going to go down now and start finish off putting in the garage boxing above. Obviously we told you we're building the 24-inch top piece, so I'm going to go now to try and put the uprights into place, get them screwed in, and then off the back of that we can then start fixing the base, covering it with obviously a concrete board, and then we can get the mason out to start plastering it up and yeah, getting it put in. So fingers crossed that should be good. So I'll show you in a minute and give you an update. Okay, so we're inside actually trying to do trying to put up the actual framework we've made, and the minor issue we have is that the beams coming up are wider than the actual cross section. So this section here is wider than the section that's coming across here. So to give you a quick look for arguments, you can see here the laser line is on the wall going up. You might better see it on the camera itself. So if we're going to go for 1 inch, which is the plasterboard and the plaster itself, then we land up being out of this wall quite considerably. So same on this wall here. So if we actually put the inner 2x4 straight, then this line here, the inner line, is going to be one that goes all the way up. And as you can see, it lands up being level here, which means by the time we plasterboard it, it'll be hidden here, flush with the wall, then it will poke out. So, but we have no choice. So we're going to have a lip across here all the way along here, which is nothing we can really do about that. Now this box itself is going to hang on the front of it, which is 12 inches. But then we're going to have another 12 inches above that, which is the boxing we're talking about, and then there'll be a little lip at the top. as a result of that, we might be able to make the front one, we might be able to make that obviously come back further, and we can plaster that completely flush. So we can actually play around with coming backwards and making sure the front, from looking at the front of the building, that whole box will be plastered completely flush. But on the inside, there's not a great deal we can do because obviously this box itself has got to fix to that framework, and it's wider than the actual opening, which means that we need the boxing to be hitting the back of this all the way along. If we push it back at an angle, so if we actually push it in like that, so that the top is level and the sides are level, then this will land up missing it at certain points. So we need to make sure the boxing on the inside is flush all the way along, but it does mean the top here is going to unfortunately be proud in, which means we're going to have a little lip going all the way along, which you will obviously be able to see from the inside, which is a pain in the backside. But anyway, there's no way around it. That will hide most of it anyway. By the time actually it's in, we'll put the U shape on, put the legs on here, spin it around, and then you lower it into place, hire it into place like that, and you'll have the box going from this wall here, probably around about 4 inches this side, all the way along, 4 inches that side, and it'll be fixed all the way along into the actual support we're making. So we'll have to double fix here, 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 and then we'll actually fix into the wall here, fix into the wall there, because obviously this is going to land up screwing into that. You take this boxing off here, and then you just drill holes into the rear skin, which I did try and tidy up a little bit today with a bit of 2x4. It's not pretty, but that's the bit that's going to be against the back. So obviously by the time this actually comes forward and upwards, the back bit will up against the actual garage itself, fixed through. So hopefully you won't see that horrible mess from behind. That's the aim anyway. So, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get that in. So it's a heavy bit of wood, as you can see. The actual framework said we've got to get 2 in there. So we need to lift those up between the 3 of us, get them screwed in, get them held in, and then we can start fixing them, making sure they're in there properly. Here they don't really use anchors. You know, where I'm concerned, in an ideal world, what we should be really doing is firing a bolt with an anchor on it in straight into it, and obviously making that hold. I've got a few in here, so I might even fire a couple of big ones into it anyway, just to make sure it's 100% secure. Because obviously, you know, we're going to land up fixing here anyway. The garage roller will actually be fixed into the wall here, up this piece. So it'll be fixed into the wall either side, but then the middle bits are all going to be fixed into that boxing that we're actually making. So I want to make sure that if it's got that weight on it, that it's 100% secure. And here what they do normally is just drill like a 6 or a 7 mil hole straight in, and the construction screw straight into the hole. There's no raw plug or anchor, as they call it here. So anyway, I'll have a look at that in a second. Whilst I'm on, obviously, I hope I'm giving you some information you like. I'll try and document as much stuff as you can, but give me a thumbs up and some comments below if you could, that'd be great. We're at 8:18, by the way. Whee! We've gone from 8:15 down to 8:12. We've gone back up to 8:18. So whether I've given everyone a guilt complex, I don't know. But anyway, I'll try and film a little bit more. Like I said, I didn't want to bombard you guys this week. I just wanted to merge a couple of days into one. Today we've done more today than we normally would do, so it's worth filming quite a bit. So hope you're enjoying, and I'll update you in a second. Okay, 3 o'clock on Friday. We're about to wrap up. The 2 sides are in. So putting those in is obviously quite difficult when there's only 2 to 3 of you. But we've got them in, they're drilled in, they're tacked up for now. So we've put in 2.5-inch bolts for now, construction bolts, so that will hold them up there for now. And then on Monday, we'll rebalance them all out to make sure that all of these are all equally square apart. These obviously have to be square, so do these, and so on and so forth, so we can actually get square. So when we box it doesn't look stupid. Now we've had to bend it slightly in certain ways. One, because we had some timber that was slightly bowed. And on top of that, because the actual garage itself, the wall, if you're looking at it upwards, it's slightly bowed rather than being dead straight. So we're having to try and compensate a little bit for it. So if I spin it around, you can see what I mean by here. Look, so we've got the plastic, we've got the board to go on here. Hopefully we use the right line. I think we might use the wrong one. Shit, now we have. That needs to come in a little bit, because what we've got to do is we've got to plaster that as well. So this is going to have to come in again, so it's going to have to be unscrewed and repositioned. Shit. Might be because we got thrown out on that side. Okay, so we're going to have to redo that. Damn. Okay, so anyway, we're going to have to take this one closer. I did wonder why that gap was quite wide. So we're going to have to come in by 1/2 inch to allow for the plasterboard, the concrete board that's going to go on the front. So we're going to have to redo that one, unfortunately. But that'll be a Monday job, and the same on this side as well. That line there should be the finished construction board line, and then that's going to be plaster. So as you can see, it's about 1/2 inch of plaster all the way up and across, and we've managed to get it to roughly the same all the way through, so it should be okay. Note to self, always check the lids on. So yeah, what we'll have to do is reposition that one to allow for the plasterboard, and then we can square these off and get that back in again. So pain in the arse, because we've drilled all the bloody holes. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay, we'll take that down, redo that on Monday. It was finished off, and that's good. So hopefully that will we'll get some water on that tomorrow to test that out. And Tyson is slowly but surely moving through the front. The front is a lot more involved than the back, mainly because we're pulling up the grass as well. So this is a day's work, basically, a little bit there. So he's obviously struggling a little bit at the moment. So anyway, other than that, we're all done for today. I'll check in with you guys tomorrow, stroke Monday, depending on whether we do tomorrow or not. But I think it's going to be a Monday start. So that is construction dust, trust me. Have a good weekend.